We don't have the cash right now, Kevin. Beets' first season running his own mining operation has been a relentless battle, but now he's facing a problem that could bring everything to a grinding halt. His wash plant is processing pay dirt faster than expected, and with a stockpile rapidly depleting, he desperately needs to open up new ground, but there's a major roadblock. Water is flooding the cut, turning it into a muddy wasteland, and he doesn't have the equipment to fix it. Brennan, struggling to work in the worsening conditions, has been demanding another pump for over a week. Frustration reaches a breaking point as Brennan finally confronts Kevin, demanding a solution. With no extra pumps, no outside help, and no budget to buy new equipment, Kevin is backed into a corner. Kevin had anticipated challenges when stepping out on his own, but the sheer weight of responsibility is proving exhausting. He admits that sleep has been scarce, and the pressure of running the mine 24/7 is pushing him to his limits. However, he remains determined, knowing that success hinges on keeping the operation moving. I'm really glad to finally have some gold coming out of the ground, Kevin remarks, acknowledging the progress they've made. But despite the early successes, he knows there's still a long road ahead. His goal is ambitious: 1,000 ounces of gold, and every day counts. Having invested nearly $2 million of his own money into this mine, Kevin can't afford to let the operation stall. His team is racing to strip overburden and reach fresh pay dirt in the extended section of Lynx Cut. However, the site has become a mess, with standing water making it nearly impossible to maneuver equipment as Kevin struggles to work through the problem. He radios Brennan for help. "Hey Brennan, you got a copy?" Kevin calls out, frustration evident in his voice. Brennan responds quickly, and Kevin explains the situation. His machine is stuck in the cut, and they need to deal with the water issue immediately. The solution is obvious: they need another pump, but there's just one problem: there are no extra pumps available. Earlier in the season, Kevin had borrowed a pump from Tony Beets to handle a separate flooding issue. That pump is now dedicated to the wash plant, and Kevin has no more favors to call in from his parents. Brennan attempts to free Kevin's equipment, but the bigger issue remains: unsolved water from the wash plant. Settling pond is seeping into the cut, transforming it into a swamp. Without a pump, they have no way to keep working without shutting down the wash plant, something Kevin can't afford to do. Brennan, already frustrated, finally loses patience. He reminds Kevin that he's been requesting another pump for a week, and the delay has only made things worse. Kevin tries to explain that they need to complete the current cleanup before they can afford to buy new equipment, but Brennan isn't satisfied with that answer. The longer they wait, the worse the conditions become, and he knows they're running out of time as tensions rise. Brennan suggests they ask Tony Beets for another pump, but Kevin immediately shuts down the idea. He's already borrowed equipment from his parents, and he's unwilling to go back for more help. He insists they need to find a way to push forward with what they have. Brennan shakes his head, clearly exasperated. "What do you want me to do?" "Then I need a pump." Kevin hesitates before admitting the truth: they simply don't have the cash to buy another one right now. That answer does nothing to ease Brennan's frustration. If they can't get another pump, they're out of options, and their entire season could be in jeopardy. Realizing there's no immediate solution, Brennan walks off, leaving Kevin to grapple with the weight of his decisions. The pressure is mounting, and with every passing hour, their chances of success are slipping away. Without a pump, they're at serious risk of shutting down, and for Kevin, failure is not an option. As frustration boiled over, Brennan finally hit his breaking point. Instead of arguing any further, he simply disappeared. At first, Kevin had no idea what had happened. One moment Brennan was on site pushing for a solution, and the next he was gone and driving off without an explanation. He ignored radio calls and waved off any producers who tried to track him down. His absence sent shockwaves through the crew. Brennan was the only one who knew exactly what to do. Kevin admitted, "I just wish he had taught me more before he left." Kevin was left rambling to figure out his next move. Without Brennan, the most experienced earthworks operator on site, the team was at a standstill. The water problem remained unsolved. Time was running out, and the entire season was in jeopardy. What Kevin didn't know was that Brennan hadn't abandoned the operation. He was taking matters into his own hands, unwilling to let the mining season slip away. Due to an action, Brennan reached out to a friend upstream who had mining equipment of his own. He struck a deal and purchased a pump himself for $1,000, an enormous sum for someone who wasn't even the mine boss. The pump came with 800 feet of lay-flat hose, enough to properly drain the cut and finally get the crew moving again. I had to take matters into my own hands, Brennan later explained. Kevin and Faith needed help, and this was the fastest way to get us moving again. For Brennan, this wasn't just about solving a problem, it was about securing the future of the operation if the water issue persisted. Everyone's paychecks were on the line. Kevin had already poured nearly $2 million of his own savings into launching this mine, and the last thing Brennan wanted was to watch that investment and his own livelihood go to waste. After being gone for hours, Brennan finally returned to camp. Kevin, still unaware of what had happened, was both relieved and frustrated to see him. "I wasn't sure where you went," Kevin told him, but Brennan had no time for small talk. He got straight to work setting up the new pump, focused on getting the cut drained as quickly as possible. "I wanted to smash this problem out of the water," he said confidently. Despite the exhaustion and stress of the past week, there was an undeniable sense of hope among the crew. For the first time in days, they had a real solution. Excitement quickly turned into concern when they tried to start the pump and nothing happened. "Are we getting any water at all?" Brennan asked, peering at the hoses. "No, it's dry," Kevin responded, frowning. Kevin immediately recognized the problem. The pump was self-priming, meaning it needed some water already inside to create suction. Without that, it simply wouldn't function. "We're going to have to manually prime it," Kevin explained. With no other choice, they filled the pump casing with water by hand and tried again. Kevin gave this signal that should do it. "Want me to fire it up?" Brennan nodded, watching closely as Kevin started the engine. For a few tense moments, nothing happened. Then suddenly water surged through the hoses. "There we go," Brennan cheered. "Back in business." The relief was instant. The pump was working, draining the cut as planned. Soon the crew would be able to strip down to pay dirt and rebuild the pay pile. "This pump will at least allow us to get this cut down and keep running," Kevin said, watching as the murky water slowly receded. The stress of the past few days began to lift. With the cut draining, the season was no longer at immediate risk. Keeve and Brennan could finally focus on what mattered most, getting gold out of the ground. But beyond just fixing the issue, this moment proved something important: a team that works despite their differences. Kevin and Brennan made a strong team. Kevin was a master of mechanics, always keeping the operations equipment running, while Brennan was the expert at earthworks, knowing exactly how to move dirt efficiently. Together they kept the mine moving forward. Kevin couldn't help but admire Brennan's determination. "I was worried when he took off," Kevin admitted, "but I really appreciated him coming back, explaining what happened, and even spending his own money to keep us going. That was incredibly generous of him." For Brennan, this experience wasn't just about this mine. He had dreams of his own. "Maybe one day I'll find my own ground to mine," he said slowly. "I'm building up the equipment I'll need if I ever get the chance. It'd be nice to have my own gold stash one day." For now, though, he was focused on the task at hand. The cut was draining, the pay pile was rebuilding, and the mining season was back on track.